Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, am I living for me or for everyone else? Think about it. How many times have you said yes when you wanted to say no? How often do you chase approval from people who don't truly care about your dreams? You wake up every day putting others first, your family, your friends, your job, but where does that leave you? If you're honest with yourself, deep down you know the answer. It leaves you drained, unfulfilled, and farther away from the life you've always imagined. But here's the truth. You can change that. Right now, today, this moment is your chance to take back control of your life. And if you stay with me until the end of this video, I promise you'll walk away with a mindset shift so powerful, it will change how you approach everything. Are you ready? Let's dive in. Let's start by addressing something we all struggle with, the fear of being selfish. Somewhere along the way, society convinced us that prioritizing ourselves was wrong. We were taught to put others first, to sacrifice our own needs for the sake of peace or harmony. But what happens when you keep giving and giving without refilling your own cup? You burn out, you break, you lose sight of who you are. Here's the reality. Taking care of yourself isn't selfish, it's essential. Think of it like oxygen on an airplane. Before you help anyone else, you need to secure your own mask first. Only then can you show up fully for your loved ones, for your goals, for the world. When you prioritize yourself, you become stronger, more resilient, and better equipped to handle whatever life throws at you. Now let's talk psychology for a second. Human beings are wired to seek connection and validation. That's why we crave likes, comments, and praise. It feels good, doesn't it? But here's the catch. External validation is fleeting. It's like building a house on sand. One bad comment, one rejection, and the entire foundation crumbles. True confidence comes from within. It comes from knowing your worth, trusting your abilities, and focusing on what you want, not what others expect of you. So why does this matter? Because when you make yourself your priority, magic happens. You begin to align your actions with your values. You stop wasting time on things that don't serve you. You create space for growth, for passion, for purpose, and most importantly, you reclaim your power. Imagine waking up every morning excited to tackle the day, not because someone told you to, but because you're chasing something bigger than yourself, something that lights a fire in your soul. That's what happens when you focus on you. When you silence the noise and tune into your inner voice, you unlock potential you didn't even know existed. And here's the best part. This journey starts small. It starts with one decision, one commitment to yourself. Maybe it's setting boundaries, maybe it's saying no to distractions, or maybe it's simply carving out 10 minutes each day to reflect, recharge, and reconnect with your goals. Whatever it is, that one step will lead to another and another, until suddenly you're miles ahead of where you started. Before we move forward, let me remind you of this. The next few minutes could be the turning point in your life. By the time this video ends, you'll have clarity, a roadmap to becoming unstoppable. So stick around, stay focused, keep listening. Your future self will thank you. Because here's the secret nobody tells you. Success begins with self-love. And today we're going to show you exactly how to get there. Now that you made the decision to prioritize yourself, let's talk about what that truly means and why it's one of the most powerful choices you'll ever make. Prioritizing yourself isn't just about taking a bubble bath or treating yourself to coffee once in a while. It's deeper than that. It's about recognizing your worth and refusing to settle for anything less than what you deserve. It's about understanding that when you invest in yourself, your mind, your body, your dreams, you're not only improving your life, but also creating a ripple effect that benefits everyone around you. Think about it this way. When you neglect yourself, who suffers? Everyone. Your energy drops, your patience wears thin, and your ability to give your best diminishes. But when you take care of yourself, you show up as the best version of you. You become a source of strength, inspiration, and love, not just for others, but for yourself. And here's the beautiful part. The more you pour into yourself, the more you have to offer the world. Let's break it down even further. Human psychology teaches us that self-worth is the foundation of all success. Without it, we're constantly seeking external validation, living on a treadmill of approval that never stops. We chase likes, compliments, and recognition, hoping they'll fill the void inside, but they don't. Why? Because true fulfillment comes from within. It comes from knowing that you are enough, just as you are. That's why prioritizing yourself isn't selfish, it's necessary. It's the first step toward building unshakable confidence and resilience. But how do you start? How do you shift from living for others to living for yourself? It begins with awareness. Pay attention to how you spend your time, your energy, and your thoughts. Are you giving them away freely without considering their impact on you? Or are you intentional about where they go? Awareness is the key to change. Once you realize how much of yourself you've been giving away, you can start reclaiming it. Here's an exercise to try. For the next 24 hours, notice every time you say yes, when you really want to say no. Notice every time you put someone else's needs ahead of your own. Don't judge yourself, just observe. This simple act of mindfulness will open your eyes to patterns you might not have noticed before. And once you see those patterns, you can begin to break them. Now let's talk about boundaries. Boundaries are the invisible lines that protect your time, your energy, and your peace. They're not walls, they're bridges. Bridges that allow you to connect with others while staying true to yourself. Setting boundaries isn't easy, especially if you're used to pleasing everyone, but it's one of the most empowering things you can do. When you set a boundary, you're sending a clear message: I value myself, I respect myself, and I expect others to do the same. And here's the truth. People will respect you more when you respect yourself. It's counterintuitive, but it's true. When you stop bending over backward to please others, you attract people who appreciate you for who you are, not what you can do for them. You create healthier relationships, both with others and with yourself. Of course, there will be resistance. Some people won't understand why you're suddenly putting yourself first. They might call you selfish or accuse you of changing. Let them. Their opinions don't define you. What matters is how you feel about yourself. Are you happier, more fulfilled, more at peace? If the answer is yes, then you're on the right path. Remember, prioritizing yourself doesn't mean abandoning others. It means showing up fully for yourself and for them. It means giving from a place of abundance, not depletion. And that's where the magic happens. When you take care of yourself, you become a magnet for positivity, opportunity, and growth. You inspire others to do the same. You create a cycle of empowerment that starts with you and spreads outward. So as you continue on this journey, ask yourself, what does self-prioritization look like for me? Is it setting aside time each day to focus on your goals? Is it learning to say no without guilt? Is it investing in your health, your education, or your passions? Whatever it is, commit to it. Commit to becoming the person you were always meant to be. Because here's the thing, you owe it to yourself. You owe it to the dreams you've buried under layers of doubt and fear. You owe it to the future you've been waiting for. And guess what? That future starts now. Every choice you make, from the way you speak to yourself to the way you spend your time, is shaping the life you're building. So choose wisely, choose boldly, choose you. And remember, this is just the beginning. As you embrace the power of self-prioritization, you'll discover strengths you didn't know you had. You'll unlock potential you didn't realize existed. And most importantly, you'll find a sense of peace that no one can take away from you. Stay with me because we're just getting started. Now that you understand the importance of prioritizing yourself, let's take a closer look at why so many of us lose sight of who we are in the first place and how we can find our way back. Think about your life for a moment. How much of it is shaped by external expectations? From the time we're young, we're told what to do, how to act, and who to become. Go to school, get good grades, find a stable job, settle down. These aren't just suggestions. They're societal blueprints handed down through generations. And while they may work for some, for many of us, they feel suffocating. They strip away our individuality, leaving us chasing someone else's version of success. But here's the hard truth. You can't live authentically if you're constantly trying to fit into a mold that wasn't made for you. Every time you conform to someone else's expectations, you chip away at your true self. Over time, those chips turn into cracks, and those cracks grow until you no longer recognize the person staring back at you in the mirror. That's the cost of losing yourself, and it's a price too high to pay. So why does this happen? Why do we allow ourselves to drift so far from who we truly are? The answer lies in human psychology. We're wired to seek belonging. Our ancestors survived because they stayed connected to their tribes. Rejection meant isolation, and isolation often meant death. Fast forward to today, and while the stakes aren't as high, the fear of rejection still runs deep. We crave acceptance, validation, and approval because, on a primal level, it makes us feel safe. But here's the problem. Seeking validation from others keeps you trapped in a cycle of dependency. You give away your power every time you base your worth on someone else's opinion. And the more you rely on external sources for happiness, the less control you have over your own life. It's like building your house on someone else's land. You'll always be at their mercy. Let's talk about distractions for a moment. Social media in particular has become one of the biggest culprits when it comes to losing ourselves. Scroll through your feed and you'll see highlight reels of other people's lives, perfect vacations, flawless selfies, and endless achievements. It's easy to fall into the comparison trap, isn't it? To measure your behind the scenes against someone else's greatest hits. But here's what you need to remember. Those posts don't tell the full story. They're curated snapshots, not reflections of reality. Yet we let them dictate how we feel about ourselves. And then there's the noise, the constant barrage of opinions, advice, and criticism from friends, family, and even strangers. Everyone seems to have an idea of how you should live your life. You should settle down. You should get a real job. You should stop dreaming and be practical. Sound familiar? These voices aren't inherently bad. They often come from a place of love or concern, but they drown out your inner voice. And when you stop listening to yourself, you lose direction. The result, a life that feels hollow. You might check all the boxes society says you're supposed to, degree, career, relationship, but inside you feel empty. Why? Because none of it aligns with your truth. You've been living for everyone else, and somewhere along the way you forgot to ask yourself what you really want. But here's the good news. It's never too late to rediscover yourself. Awareness is the first step. Start paying attention to the moments when you feel disconnected from your goals, your passions, or even your own identity. What triggers those feelings? Is it scrolling through social media, listening to unsolicited advice, trying to meet unrealistic standards? Once you identify the sources of disconnection, you can begin to distance yourself from them. Here's another exercise to try. Spend 5 minutes each day asking yourself, what do I truly want? Not what your parents want, not what your partner wants, not what society tells you to want. Just you. At first, the answers might feel unclear or uncomfortable. That's okay. Keep asking, keep digging. The more you reconnect with your desires, the clearer your path will become. And don't underestimate the power of solitude. In a world that's always buzzing with noise, silence is revolutionary. It gives you space to think, to reflect, and to listen to your inner voice. Take time away from distractions. Turn off your phone, step away from social media, and simply be with yourself. You might be surprised at what you discover. Remember, finding yourself isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing process. There will be days when you feel aligned and days when you feel lost again. That's part of the journey. The key is to keep coming back to yourself, to your values, your dreams, and your truth. Because when you do, something incredible happens. You start living a life that feels authentic, a life that fills you with purpose, joy, and fulfillment. This is where real freedom begins. When you stop chasing external validation and start honoring your own needs, you reclaim your power. You become unstoppable. Not because you've silenced the world, but because you've amplified your own voice. And that changes everything. So as you move forward, remind yourself of this. You are the author of your story. Every word, every chapter, every twist and turn is yours to create. Don't let anyone else write it for you. Now that you've begun to rediscover yourself, let's talk about the mindset that transforms ordinary effort into extraordinary results. Working hard in silence. There's a reason why some of the most successful people in the world don't shout about their goals. They let their actions speak for them. Think about it. When you're too busy talking about what you're going to do, you're wasting energy that could be spent actually doing it. Words are cheap, actions are priceless. And when you choose to work quietly without seeking attention or validation, something powerful happens. You create space for focus, discipline, and growth. Ingredients that turn dreams into reality. Silence isn't just the absence of noise. It's the presence of intention. It's about shutting out distractions and tuning into your purpose. In a world obsessed with instant gratification, where everyone wants quick results and constant recognition, choosing to stay silent is a radical act of self-belief. It says, I don't need applause to keep going. I trust the process and I trust myself. That kind of confidence doesn't come from external validation. It comes from within. And once you tap into it, there's no limit to what you can achieve. But why does silence matter so much? Let's dive into the psychology behind it. Human beings are wired to seek approval. It's part of our survival instinct. We want to be liked, accepted, and admired. But here's the catch. The more you rely on others to validate your efforts, the less control you have over your own success. Every time you share your goals before they're achieved, you risk falling into the talk trap. Studies show that sharing your intentions prematurely can trick your brain into feeling like you've already accomplished them, reducing your motivation to follow through. Silence, on the other hand, keeps you grounded. It forces you to focus on the work itself, not the praise that might come later. Working in silence also teaches you resilience. Success isn't a straight line. It's a series of ups and downs. Wins and losses. When you're quiet about your journey, you learn to embrace the struggle without needing constant reassurance. You become comfortable with discomfort. You start seeing challenges not as obstacles, but as opportunities to grow stronger, sharper, and more determined. And when you finally reach your goal, the satisfaction is unmatched because you know every step was earned, not handed to you by someone else's encouragement. Let's talk about the power of delayed gratification. Remember the famous marshmallow experiment? Children who resisted eating one marshmallow now in exchange for two later showed greater success in life. The same principle applies here. When you work in silence, you're essentially delaying the reward, the recognition, the applause, the validation, until the job is done. This builds patience and perseverance, two qualities that separate the average from the exceptional. Success isn't about how fast you get there, it's about how steady you stay along the way. And here's another truth. People respect those who let their work speak for itself. Have you ever noticed how the loudest voices often fade into the background, while the quiet achievers leave a lasting impact? That's because actions carry weight. They inspire trust, admiration, and loyalty. When you consistently deliver without fanfare, people take notice, not because you told them to, but because your results demand it. And when the world finally sees what you've been building, the reaction is undeniable. Quiet dedication commands respect in a way that loud promises never will. Of course, staying silent isn't always easy. There will be moments when you feel invisible, like no one notices your efforts. Doubts will creep in. You'll wonder if all this hard work is worth it. But here's the secret. Silence isn't about hiding. It's about protecting. Protecting your energy, your vision, and your peace of mind. It's about shielding yourself from negativity, criticism, and unnecessary opinions until you're ready to step into the spotlight. And when you do, you'll shine brighter than ever. So, how do you embrace this mindset? Start by shifting your focus from external rewards to internal fulfillment. Celebrate small victories privately instead of seeking public acknowledgement. Keep your goals close to your chest, sharing them only with those who genuinely support your journey. Surround yourself with people who understand the value of quiet determination and encourage you to stay the course. Remember, silence isn't emptiness, it's strength. It's the foundation upon which greatness is built. When you stop chasing noise and start embracing stillness, you unlock a level of focus and clarity that propels you forward faster than anything else. You begin to see progress not as something to brag about, but as proof that you're capable of achieving what you set out to do. This is where transformation happens. When you commit to working hard in silence, you're making a promise to yourself, to your dreams, and to the future you're building. A promise that says, I don't need the world's approval to succeed, I just need my own. And that changes everything. Now that you've embraced the power of silence, let's dismantle one of the biggest myths holding people back, the idea of overnight success. We live in a world obsessed with quick fixes and instant results. Social media floods us with stories of people who seemingly woke up one day to fame, fortune, or fulfillment. It's easy to look at these highlights and believe that success is something that happens suddenly, almost magically, but here's the truth. Overnight success is a lie. Behind every overnight achievement is years, sometimes decades, of relentless effort, sacrifice, and perseverance. What looks like an explosion of success to the outside world is actually the culmination of countless hours spent grinding in the shadows. Think about it. When was the last time you saw someone post about their failures, their late nights, their early mornings, their moments of doubt and despair? Rarely, if ever. Instead, we see polished snapshots of victory, the award received, the business launched, the dream realized. But those moments didn't happen by accident. They were built brick by brick, decision by decision, through a process that most people never see. And that's why so many fall into the trap of thinking they're failing when they don't see immediate results. They mistake the lack of instant gratification for a lack of progress. Here's what you need to understand. Success isn't a destination, it's a journey filled with small, incremental steps that compound over time. Human psychology often tricks us into believing that big leaps are the norm, but science tells a different story. Research shows that consistency is far more powerful than intensity. Small actions repeated daily create exponential growth. It's like planting a tree. You don't dig a hole, drop in a seed, and expect shade the next day. Growth takes time. Roots must form, branches must stretch, leaves must sprout. Only then does the tree stand tall, providing shelter and beauty for years to come. This principle applies to your life too. Every goal you have, whether it's building a career, improving your health, or mastering a skill, requires patience and persistence. The problem is most people give up before the roots take hold. They start strong, full of excitement and energy, but when they don't see immediate results, they quit. They switch paths, chase new dreams, or settle for less. But here's the reality. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't talent or luck. It's endurance. It's the willingness to keep going even when progress feels invisible. Let's talk about the science of delayed gratification again. Remember the marshmallow experiment? Those children who resisted immediate rewards weren't just demonstrating self-control. They were practicing faith. Faith that waiting would lead to something better. The same applies to your journey. When you commit to putting in the work without expecting instant payoff, you're investing in long-term gains. You're trusting that every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to your ultimate goal. And here's the beautiful part. The struggle itself shapes you. Every challenge you face, every obstacle you overcome, adds layers to your character. It builds resilience, grit, and determination. These qualities aren't just tools for success, they're markers of greatness. People who achieve extraordinary things don't do so because they avoided hardship. They do so because they learned to thrive in it. They understood that the process, the grind, is where true transformation happens. So how do you shift your mindset from chasing quick wins to embracing the long game? Start by redefining what success means to you. Instead of focusing on the end result, celebrate the process. Take pride in showing up every day, even when it's hard. Measure your progress not by external milestones, but by internal growth. Are you stronger today than you were yesterday? Are you learning, adapting, and improving? If the answer is yes, then you're winning, even if it doesn't feel like it yet. Here's another key. Stop comparing your chapter 1 to someone else's chapter 20. Everyone's journey is unique, and trying to measure yourself against others only leads to frustration. Focus on your own path. Trust that the seeds you're planting now will bear fruit later. Keep watering them, keep nurturing them, and most importantly, keep believing in them, even when no one else can see them yet. Because here's the secret. The world loves a finished product, but it rarely sees the blueprint. It applauds the masterpiece without acknowledging the drafts. And that's okay. Let them marvel at the end result while you take pride in the journey. After all, the real reward isn't the applause. It's knowing that you stayed true to yourself, your vision, and your purpose. Success isn't about being the fastest. It's about being the most consistent. It's about understanding that every tiny effort matters, even if it doesn't seem like it in the moment. It's about trusting that the compound effect of your actions will eventually lead to breakthroughs you once thought were impossible. This is where champions are made. In the quiet, unseen moments where no one is watching, where the only person cheering you on is you. And when the world finally sees what you've been building, they won't just admire the outcome, they'll respect the journey it took to get there. Now that you've committed to the long game, let's talk about why silence isn't just a strategy, it's a superpower. Silence has a way of amplifying everything it touches. It sharpens your focus, deepens your resolve, and strengthens your spirit. When you choose to work quietly, you're not just avoiding noise, you're creating space for greatness to take root. In that space, distractions fade, doubts lose their power, and clarity emerges. Silence becomes your ally, your refuge, and your weapon against the chaos of the world. Think about the most successful people you admire. What do they have in common? They don't waste energy on unnecessary drama or validation seeking. Instead, they channel their efforts into what truly matters, the work. They understand that every word spoken prematurely, every moment spent explaining themselves, is energy diverted from progress. By staying silent, they conserve their strength for the tasks that move them closer to their goals. And that's where the magic happens. Silence doesn't just protect your energy, it multiplies it. But here's the deeper truth. Silence builds resilience. When you stop seeking approval from others, you begin to rely on yourself. You learn to trust your instincts, your decisions, and your ability to navigate challenges without external reassurance. This self-reliance is the cornerstone of confidence. It transforms you from someone who craves validation into someone who commands respect. People notice when you're comfortable in your own skin, when you don't feel the need to explain or justify your actions. That quiet confidence speaks louder than any words ever could. Let's explore the psychology behind this. Human beings are social creatures. We crave connection and feedback. But there's a difference between healthy interaction and dependency. When you constantly seek validation, you train your brain to associate worth with external approval. Over time, this creates a cycle of insecurity. You start doubting yourself, questioning your abilities, and relying on others to tell you that you're enough. Silence breaks that cycle. It forces you to turn inward, to find validation within yourself rather than from others. And when you do, something incredible happens. You realize you don't need anyone else's permission to succeed. Working in silence also teaches you the art of delayed gratification. It's not easy to pour hours, days, or even years into something without immediate recognition. But that's exactly what separates the extraordinary from the ordinary. The ability to delay rewards, to sacrifice short-term satisfaction for long-term fulfillment is a hallmark of success. Studies show that individuals who practice delayed gratification achieve higher levels of accomplishment and happiness. Why? because they understand that true satisfaction comes from earning something through effort, not receiving it through shortcuts. And here's another powerful benefit of silence. It shields you from negativity. When you keep your goals and dreams to yourself, you protect them from criticism, doubt, and unsolicited advice. Not everyone will understand your vision, and that's okay. Some people will try to discourage you, either out of jealousy or their own fears. Others might unintentionally plant seeds of doubt simply because they can't see what you see. By staying silent, you create a barrier between your dreams and the outside world. A safe space where your aspirations can grow without interference. Of course, silence doesn't mean isolation. It's not about shutting people out. It's about choosing who gets access to your journey. Surround yourself with those who uplift you, who believe in your potential, and who encourage you to keep going even when the road gets tough. These are the people who will celebrate your victories, not because they want credit, but because they genuinely care about your success. Everyone else, let them stay on the sidelines while you focus on the finish line. Here's a simple exercise to harness the power of silence. For the next week, resist the urge to share your progress with others. Instead, write it down. Keep a journal where you document your wins, your lessons, and your reflections. This practice not only helps you track your growth, but also reinforces the idea that your journey is yours alone. It's a private conversation between you and your future self. A reminder that success isn't about proving anything to anyone, but about becoming the best version of yourself. Remember, silence isn't passive. It's a conscious decision to prioritize action over talk, substance over spectacle, and results over recognition. When you embrace this mindset, you tap into a wellspring of strength that few people ever discover. You become unstoppable, not because you've silenced the world, but because you've amplified your own voice. This is where transformation happens. When you stop chasing applause and start focusing on impact, you unlock a level of purpose and fulfillment that no external validation can match. You begin to see success not as something you achieve, but as something you embody. Every step forward becomes a testament to your dedication, your discipline, and your unwavering belief in yourself. So as you continue on this path, remind yourself of this. Silence isn't empty. It's full of potential. It's the canvas on which you paint your masterpiece. It's the foundation upon which you build your legacy. And when the world finally sees what you've been working on, they won't just admire the outcome. They'll respect the quiet determination it took to get there. Now that you've embraced silence as your superpower, let's confront the invisible force that often stands in the way of greatness: doubt and fear. Doubt is a silent assassin. It creeps into your mind when you least expect it, whispering lies about your abilities, your worth, and your potential. Fear follows close behind, paralyzing you with visions of failure, rejection, or judgment. Together, they form a toxic duo that keeps millions of people stuck, spinning their wheels without ever moving forward. But here's the truth. Doubt and fear aren't enemies. They're teachers. They show up not to stop you, but to test your resolve. And how you respond to them determines everything. Think about it. Every great achievement in history was born out of someone's willingness to face their fears head on. The Wright brothers didn't let doubt stop them from believing humans could fly. J.K. Rowling didn't let fear of rejection keep her from writing Harry Potter. These individuals weren't immune to uncertainty. They simply refused to let it control them. Instead, they use it as fuel. They turn their doubts into determination and their fears into courage. And you can do the same, but why does fear feel so overwhelming? Human psychology offers some insight. Our brains are wired for survival, not success. The same instincts that kept our ancestors safe from predators now make us hesitate when we step outside our comfort zones. Fear isn't inherently bad, it's designed to protect us. The problem arises when we allow it to dictate our choices, keeping us trapped in mediocrity instead of pushing us toward growth. When you understand this, fear loses its power. You realize it's not a sign that you're incapable, it's a signal that you're growing. Here's the key. Growth doesn't happen in comfort. It happens in discomfort. Every time you feel afraid, it means you're on the verge of something meaningful. Whether it's starting a new project, pursuing a dream, or making a bold decision, fear is the price of admission to greatness. The question isn't whether you'll feel it. The question is whether you'll act in spite of it. So how do you overcome doubt and fear? Start by acknowledging them. Pretending they don't exist only gives them more power. Instead, name them. Say out loud, "I'm scared," or "I'm doubting myself." This simple act takes away their sting. It reminds you that fear and doubt are just emotions, not facts. They can't hurt you unless you let them. Next, reframe your mindset. Instead of seeing fear as a roadblock, see it as a guidepost. It's pointing you toward what matters most. Ask yourself, what's on the other side of this fear? Is it freedom, fulfillment, a dream you've been chasing? Whatever it is, remind yourself that it's worth the struggle. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's taking action despite it. Let's talk about the role of self-talk. Your inner dialogue shapes your reality. If you constantly tell yourself, "I'm not good enough," or "I'll never succeed," guess what? You'll start believing it. But if you replace those negative thoughts with empowering ones, "I am capable," or "I am worthy of my dreams," you begin to rewrite your story. Positive affirmations might feel awkward at first, but over time, they train your brain to focus on possibilities instead of limitations. And here's another powerful tool: action. Fear thrives in stillness, but it shrinks in motion. Every time you take a step forward, even a small one, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your doubts. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be progress. Write one page of your book. Make one phone call. Take one class. Momentum builds confidence, and confidence silences fear. Of course, there will be days when fear feels insurmountable. On those days, lean on your why. Why are you doing this? What drives you? Who are you becoming through this process? Connecting to your purpose gives you the strength to push through even the toughest moments. It reminds you that the pain of staying the same is far greater than the pain of change. Remember, overcoming doubt and fear isn't a one-time event. It's a daily practice. Some days will feel easier than others, and that's okay. Progress isn't linear. What matters is that you keep showing up, keep fighting, and keep believing in yourself. Because every time you conquer fear, you become a little braver. Every time you silence doubt, you become a little stronger. And over time, those small victories add up to something extraordinary. This is where champions are made, not in the absence of fear, but in the presence of courage. Not in the absence of doubt, but in the triumph over it. When you learn to face these emotions head on, you unlock a level of resilience that few people possess. You become unstoppable, not because you're fearless, but because you've learned to act in spite of fear. Now that you've learned to face your fears and silence your doubts, let's talk about the foundation of lasting success. Discipline. Discipline is often misunderstood. People think it's about forcing yourself to do things you hate or grinding through endless hours of work without rest. But here's the truth. Discipline isn't punishment. It's freedom. It's the ability to align your actions with your goals day after day until they become habits. And those habits, they're the building blocks of greatness. The beauty of discipline lies in its simplicity. Small, consistent actions compound over time to create extraordinary results. Think about how water shapes a rock. A single drop doesn't make much of an impact, does it? But thousands of drops falling steadily over time can carve canyons. Your efforts work the same way. One workout won't transform your body. 1 hour of study won't make you an expert. One act of kindness won't change the world. But when you stack those small actions together, when you show up consistently, they create momentum. And momentum is what turns dreams into reality. Here's where psychology comes in. Human beings are creatures of habit. Our brains love efficiency, which is why repetitive behaviors eventually become automatic. This is both a blessing and a curse. If your habits serve your goals, they propel you forward effortlessly. But if they don't, They hold you back just as powerfully. The key is to design habits that align with the life you want to live. And the best part? You don't have to overhaul your entire routine overnight. In fact, trying to do too much at once often leads to burnout. Instead, focus on one small win at a time. Let's break it down. What's one thing you can do today that moves you closer to your goal? Maybe it's reading 5 pages of a book instead of scrolling social media. Maybe it's writing 100 words instead of waiting for inspiration to strike. Or maybe it's simply drinking more water or going to bed 30 minutes earlier. These actions might seem insignificant on their own, but they add up. Over weeks, months, and years, they create massive transformation. Success isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing something consistently. And here's the secret. Small wins build confidence. Every time you accomplish a mini goal, no matter how tiny, your brain releases dopamine, a chemical that makes you feel good and motivates you to keep going. This creates a positive feedback loop. The more you achieve, the more motivated you become. Suddenly, discipline doesn't feel like a chore, it feels like progress. And progress is addictive in the best possible way. But here's the challenge. Staying disciplined requires patience. Most people give up because they don't see immediate results. They expect overnight changes. And when those changes don't happen, they abandon ship. Don't fall into that trap. Remember the principle of delayed gratification we talked about earlier? It applies here too. Trust that every small effort matters, even if it doesn't feel like it in the moment. Celebrate the process, not just the outcome. Take pride in showing up even when it's hard. Let's talk about accountability. Discipline thrives in structure. Create systems that support your goals. Use tools like calendars, reminders, or checklists to track your progress. Surround yourself with people who inspire you to stay committed. Not because they pressure you, but because they believe in your potential. Accountability doesn't mean relying on others to motivate you. It means designing an environment that makes success inevitable. And here's another powerful mindset shift. Focus on effort, not perfection. Too many people get discouraged when they slip up or miss a day. They see it as failure and throw in the towel. But discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about being persistent. If you miss a workout, start again tomorrow. If you skip a day of writing, pick up where you left off. Progress isn't linear, and setbacks are part of the journey. What matters is that you keep moving forward. Remember, discipline isn't about restriction, it's about empowerment. It gives you control over your time, your energy, and your future. When you master the art of consistency, you stop leaving your success to chance. You stop waiting for motivation to strike or inspiration to hit. Instead, you take charge. You decide what kind of person you want to be and then take daily action to become that person. This is where resilience is forged. Discipline teaches you to embrace discomfort, to push through resistance, and to keep going when the path gets tough. It trains your mind and body to handle challenges with grace and determination. And over time, it becomes second nature. You'll find yourself doing the right things, not because you have to, but because you want to. That's the ultimate sign of mastery. So as you continue on this journey, remind yourself of this. Discipline isn't about achieving perfection. It's about creating progress. It's about trusting the process, celebrating small victories, and staying committed to your vision. Because every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you've always dreamed of. Now that you've embraced discipline and committed to consistent action, let's address one of the hardest truths about pursuing greatness. It can be lonely. There's a reason why extraordinary individuals often walk a solitary path. When you choose to rise above mediocrity, to chase dreams bigger than yourself, you step into a space where few people dare to go. And in that space, you'll find silence, not just from the world, but sometimes even from those closest to you. It's not because they don't care, it's because they can't always understand. They're still playing by the old rules while you're rewriting the playbook. That gap, the distance between where you are and where others are can feel isolating. But here's the truth. Loneliness isn't a curse, it's a sign that you're growing. Think about it. Every time you level up, you leave something behind. You outgrow habits, relationships, or environments that no longer serve your vision. It's painful at first, but it's also necessary. Growth demands space, and space often means solitude. The people who once cheered you on might start to fade away, not because they don't love you, but because they can't keep up. And that's okay. Not everyone is meant to stay with you on this journey. Some are only there for certain seasons, and their role is to prepare you for the next phase of your life. But here's what you need to remember. Loneliness doesn't mean you're alone. It means you're becoming someone new. And that transformation requires focus, introspection, and courage. Human psychology teaches us that connection is essential for happiness, but so is self-reliance. When you learn to sit with your own thoughts, to find peace in solitude, you discover a strength you didn't know you had. You realize that you don't need constant validation or companionship to feel whole. You become your own anchor, your own source of stability, and that changes everything. Let's talk about the cost of greatness. Achieving extraordinary things often means making sacrifices, saying no to distractions, setting boundaries, and prioritizing your goals over temporary comfort. These choices can make you feel like an outsider, like you're missing out on the fun everyone else seems to be having. But here's the reality. While others are busy chasing fleeting pleasures, you're building something lasting. You're investing in a future that aligns with your deepest values. And when that future arrives, you look back and see that every moment of loneliness was worth it. Of course, there will be days when the isolation feels unbearable, when you long for someone who truly understands what you're going through. On those days, remind yourself why you started. Why are you doing this? What drives you? Who are you becoming? Connecting to your purpose gives you the strength to endure the quiet moments. It reminds you that loneliness is temporary, but greatness is forever. Here's another truth. Loneliness teaches you resilience. When you stop relying on others for motivation or reassurance, you tap into a wellspring of inner strength. You learn to trust yourself, to believe in your ability to navigate challenges without external support. This self-trust becomes your greatest asset. It allows you to face uncertainty with calmness and confidence. You begin to see solitude not as a burden, but as an opportunity to reflect, to recharge, and to reconnect with your vision. And here's the beautiful part. Loneliness doesn't last forever. As you grow, you'll attract people who resonate with the person you're becoming. These are the ones who understand your ambition, who celebrate your wins, and who encourage you to keep going even when the road gets tough. They won't always agree with you, and they won't always understand every decision you make, but they'll respect your journey. Surround yourself with these individuals and cherish the connections you build along the way. So how do you navigate the loneliness of greatness? Start by reframing it. Instead of seeing solitude as a punishment, see it as a privilege. It's a sign that you're stepping into uncharted territory, that you're daring to dream bigger than most. Use this time to deepen your relationship with yourself. Journal your thoughts. Meditate on your goals and practice gratitude for the progress you've made. These practices not only strengthen your mindset, but also remind you that you're never truly alone. You have your own unwavering support system within you. Remember, the world loves a finished product, but it rarely sees the process. The late nights, the early mornings, the moments of doubt and despair, they happen in silence. And while it may feel like no one notices, trust that your efforts are shaping you into someone remarkable. Every step forward, no matter how quiet, brings you closer to the life you've always dreamed of. This is where champions are made. In the moments when no one is watching, when the only person cheering you on is you. When you embrace the loneliness of greatness, you unlock a level of determination and resilience that few people possess. You become unstoppable. Not because you're immune to pain, but because you've learned to rise above it. Now that you've faced the loneliness of greatness, let's talk about the most powerful mindset you can adopt on this journey. Trust in the process. Success isn't a straight line. It's a winding road filled with twists, turns, and unexpected detours. There will be days when everything feels aligned, like the universe is conspiring in your favor. And then there will be days when it feels like nothing is working, no matter how hard you try. In those moments, it's easy to doubt yourself, to question whether all your effort is worth it. But here's the truth. Progress isn't always visible. Just because you can't see immediate results doesn't mean they aren't happening. Trusting the process means believing in the power of consistency, even when the path ahead seems unclear. Think about planting a seed. When you bury it in the soil, you don't dig it up every day to check if it's growing. You water it, nurture it, and give it time to take root. The same principle applies to your goals. Every action you take, every small step forward, is like watering that seed. Some days you won't see any change. Other days, you might notice tiny sprouts breaking through the surface. But real growth happens beneath the ground, in the unseen places where roots are forming. Trust that your efforts are creating a foundation strong enough to support the life you're building. Human psychology often tricks us into focusing on short-term outcomes. We want instant results, quick wins, and immediate validation. But true success requires patience. It demands that you focus on the inputs, the daily habits, decisions, and actions, rather than obsessing over the outputs. When you shift your attention from what you want to what you do, you take control of your destiny. You stop leaving your success to chance and start creating it through deliberate effort. Here's the key. Trusting the process doesn't mean ignoring challenges or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It means acknowledging difficulties while maintaining faith in your ability to overcome them. It means understanding that setbacks are part of the journey, not signs of failure. Every obstacle you face is an opportunity to learn, adapt, and grow stronger. When you embrace this perspective, you transform frustration into fuel and doubt into determination. Let's talk about the role of persistence. Success isn't reserved for the talent or the lucky. It's earned by those who refuse to quit. Studies show that grit, more than intelligence or skill, is the greatest predictor of achievement. Grit is the ability to stick with something long after the initial excitement has faded, to keep going when progress feels slow or non-existent. And here's the beautiful part. Persistence compounds over time. The more you commit to showing up, the closer you get to breakthroughs you once thought were impossible. But how do you stay committed when the finish line feels far away? Start by breaking your journey into smaller milestones. Instead of focusing solely on the end goal, celebrate the steps along the way. Did you write one page today? That's progress. Did you make one phone call, send one email, or complete one workout? Those are victories too. By shifting your focus to daily wins, you create momentum that carries you forward, even when the big picture feels overwhelming. And here's another powerful mindset shift. Focus on who you're becoming, not just what you're achieving. Success isn't just about reaching a destination, it's about the person you become in the process. Every challenge you face, every habit you build, and every lesson you learn shapes your character. These qualities, the resilience, discipline, and courage you develop, are far more valuable than any external accomplishment. They're the legacy you leave behind, the proof that you lived with purpose and intention. Remember, the process is where the magic happens. It's where dreams turn into reality, where ideas become actions, and where potential transforms into power. When you trust the process, you release the need for immediate gratification and embrace the beauty of delayed rewards. You understand that every step forward, no matter how small, brings you closer to the life you've always imagined. This is where champions are made, not in the moments of glory, but in the quiet, unseen hours where they chose to keep going. They didn't wait for perfect conditions or guaranteed outcomes. They simply trusted that their efforts would eventually pay off. And when they finally reached their goals, they realized the journey itself was the reward. So, as you continue on this path, remind yourself of this. Trusting the process isn't passive, it's active. It's a conscious decision to show up every day, to take one more step, and to believe in the power of consistency. Because here's the secret: the world rewards those who persist. It honors those who refuse to give up, even when the odds are stacked against them. And when you stay committed to your vision, you'll discover a level of fulfillment that no external validation can match. Now that you've learned to trust the process, let's anchor ourselves in a truth that will sustain you through every challenge and triumph. You are enough. This might sound simple, but it's one of the most profound realizations you can ever have. For so long, you've been chasing external validation, seeking approval from others, comparing yourself to those around you, and measuring your worth by achievements or accolades. But here's the truth: your value isn't tied to what you do, what you have, or what others think of you. It's inherent, it's unshakable, and it exists regardless of circumstances. You don't need to prove anything to anyone, not even to yourself. You are enough just as you are. Think about how often you've doubted your abilities or questioned whether you're worthy of success. Maybe you've told yourself, "I'm not smart enough," or "I don't deserve this." These thoughts aren't facts. They're stories you've created based on fear and insecurity. Human psychology shows us that our beliefs shape our reality. If you believe you're not enough, you'll act in ways that reinforce that belief. But if you shift your mindset and embrace the truth of your worth, everything changes. Suddenly, challenges feel less intimidating, opportunities seem more attainable, and setbacks become stepping stones instead of roadblocks. Let's talk about why self-worth is the foundation of all success. When you know your value, you stop seeking it from others. You no longer rely on likes, comments, or praise to feel good about yourself. Instead, you cultivate an inner sense of confidence that remains steady no matter what happens outside of you. This self-assurance gives you the courage to take risks, the resilience to face rejection, and the clarity to pursue goals that align with your true purpose. Without self-worth, even the greatest accomplishments feel hollow. With it, even the smallest victories feel monumental. But building self-worth isn't always easy. Society conditions us to tie our identity to external markers. Our job titles, our relationships, our bank accounts. We're taught to measure success by these metrics, but they're fleeting. They come and go, leaving us feeling empty when they disappear. True worth comes from within. It's about recognizing that your essence, the core of who you are, is valuable simply because you exist. No achievement can add to it, and no failure can take it away. Here's how you can start embracing this truth. Begin by silencing your inner critic. That voice inside your head that tells you you're not good enough, it's lying. Every time it speaks up, counter it with kindness. Remind yourself of your strengths, your progress, and your potential. Say out loud, "I am capable, I am worthy, I am enough." At first it might feel uncomfortable, but over time, these affirmations will rewire your brain. They'll help you see yourself not as flawed or inadequate, but as whole and complete. And here's another powerful practice. Focus on contribution, not comparison. When you shift your energy from competing with others to serving them, something incredible happens. You realize that your worth isn't diminished by someone else's success. It's magnified by the impact you make. Whether it's helping a friend, mentoring someone younger, or simply offering a kind word, acts of service remind you that your presence matters. They connect you to something greater than yourself and reinforce the truth that you have value to offer the world. Remember, believing you're enough doesn't mean complacency. It doesn't mean settling for less or stopping your growth. On the contrary, it empowers you to strive for greatness without attaching your identity to the outcome. You work hard not because you need to prove yourself, but because you want to express your full potential. You dream big not because you're lacking, but because you're overflowing with talent, with passion, with purpose. This is where freedom lives. When you truly believe you're enough, you stop living for other people's expectations and start living for your own joy. You let go of perfectionism and embrace imperfection as part of being human. You forgive yourself for mistakes and celebrate your wins, knowing that both are proof of your effort and growth. You walk through life with a quiet confidence that says, "I may not have everything figured out, but I trust myself to figure it out along the way. So as you move forward, carry this truth with you. You are enough. Not tomorrow, not after you achieve your next goal, but right now, exactly as you are. This belief will guide you through the toughest moments and elevate you during the brightest ones. It will remind you that success isn't about becoming someone new. It's about fully embracing who you already are. Now that you've embraced the truth of your worth, it's time to take everything we've talked about and turn it into unstoppable action. This isn't just another motivational video. It's a blueprint for transformation. Every word you've heard today has been carefully crafted to guide you toward one goal, becoming the best version of yourself. But here's the deal. Inspiration without action is like a car without fuel. It won't get you anywhere. The real magic happens when you decide to step up, show up, and commit to the journey ahead. So let me leave you with this final challenge. Today, choose you. Commit to prioritizing yourself, trusting the process, and building a life that reflects your deepest dreams. Think about where you want to be 6 months from now, a year from now, 5 years from now. What does that future look like? Who are you in that vision? Are you stronger, wiser, more fulfilled? Now ask yourself, what's stopping you from starting today? The answer is nothing. You have everything you need right now to begin creating that future. All it takes is one decision, one commitment to yourself to set the wheels in motion. And I promise you, once you start, you'll never look back. Here's how you can keep the momentum going. First, take out a piece of paper or open your notes app and write down 3 things you're going to focus on this week. They don't have to be big, they just have to move you closer to your goals. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to work on your passion project. Maybe it's saying no to something that doesn't align with your priorities. Or maybe it's simply reminding yourself daily, I am enough. Whatever it is, make it specific, make it actionable, and most importantly, follow through. And here's the key. Surround yourself with reminders of why you started. Revisit this video whenever you need a boost. Share it with someone who needs to hear these words, because when you lift others up, you rise higher too. Speaking of which, if this message resonated with you, hit that like button. Let us know you're ready to take control of your life. Subscribe to this channel so you never miss an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to become unstoppable. And don't forget to share this video with someone who deserves to hear it, because greatness loves company. Let me remind you of what we've covered today. You've learned to prioritize yourself, to silence doubt and fear, to trust the process, and to embrace the truth that you are enough. These aren't just ideas, they're tools. Tools you can use every single day to build a life filled with purpose, passion, and fulfillment. But remember, tools only work if you use them. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Show up imperfectly, consistently, and watch how far you go. As you walk away from this moment, carry this thought with you. Success isn't reserved for the lucky or the talented. It's built by those who refuse to give up. It's earned by those who wake up every day and say, no matter what happens, I will keep moving forward. That person is you. You are the architect of your destiny, the author of your story, and the creator of your legacy. So write boldly, build fiercely, live fully. Before we part ways, I want you to make a promise to yourself. Promise that you'll take one step today, no matter how small, toward the life you deserve. Whether it's setting a boundary, working in silence, or simply believing in your own worth, take that step. Because here's the truth. Every great achievement starts with a single decision. And that decision is yours to make. Thank you for being here, for showing up, for listening, and for committing to your growth. Remember, the world is waiting for the gift only you can give. Don't keep it hidden any longer. Step into your power, trust your journey, and let your light shine brighter than ever before. You've got this. Now go out there and prove it to yourself. Until next time, stay strong, stay focused, and always remember, the greatest investment you'll ever make is in yourself.